Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lessons of Life, the podcast where we discuss the principles that govern our lives. And it's good to know these principles because they govern our lives. So, today we're going to talk about prophecy, specifically biblical prophecy. And I would remind everyone that the Bible, as it stands now, has been read and looked at for 2,000 years, and it's silly to think that it won't come true. These things were said for hundreds and thousands of years before they were written down. So once written down, that really cemented it, and then people started reading it, and these things were going to come to pass, no matter what. They had been put into the psyche or the soul. And so today we're going to look at some considering the events that are going on in the world today. So we go to Matthew 2. It's book 3, chapter 3, verse 1 through 2. It's book 2. Timothy. But realize this, that in the last days difficult times will come. For men will be lovers of self, lovers of money, boastful, arrogant, revilers, disobedient to parents, ungrateful, and unholy. Well, this has certainly come true recently. You know, who's not out there doing a selfie while they watch violence go on? Okay, lovers of money, how can I monetize it? Boastful, well, that's just plain old vanity, and you get that out of a lot of people. I can name many, but I think you can too. Arrogant. Well, boastful and arrogance kind of goes together. It's beyond confidence. Now you're being arrogant. And revilers. They hate each other. I hate them. I hate them. I revile you. I revile you. We see that, right and left. I don't like you because of your political affiliations. I don't like you because of the way you look. I don't like the way you look. So, I'm going to make fun of you. And they revile each other. Disobedient to parents. Going to the teachers. Disobeying the parents. Not talking to the parents. Ungrateful for what they have been given, listening to the unholy. They're not whole and complete. They're abominations. They're in the state of being abominable. So I think we know that's all kind of going on right now. Then Matthew 24:11, many false prophets will arise and mislead many. This is people coming out like Mr. Schwab, who's telling us we're going to go lease everything. You're not going to own anything. We're going to put computer chips in you, and you're going to do what we tell you to do. Got it? Good. No, he's wrong. He's a false prophet. He lies. That's what false is. Don't listen to that guy. Matthew 24:24. For false Christs and false prophets will arise, and will show great signs and wonders, so as to mislead, if possible, even the elect. Now, this is true of, mainly, recently, our leaders. And then there are some who've come out and said, you're the Christ. They're walking around, people saying, I am the Christ, I am God. But you're not. You're not. If you're afraid, you're not God. Okay? If you're afraid your manifestation won't come, you walking around saying, I am God, is not going to make it come any faster. Okay? It's not. You have to lose that ego, which has been nothing but a band-aid, a bandage for when God went into man. He made the wound. And the wound does heal. It has healed. Christ healed it by removing humanity's ego. And now we just have remnants of it wandering around that we have to deny and then affirm what is true. And there's only one truth. This is all God. And God is all good. And so, only good in life can show itself to me. That's all there is to it. There's no illness, there's no death, there's only life. There's only good health. So, Matthew 24:10, at that time many will fall away and will betray one another and hate one another. This is the divorces, the women who have children and then reject them because they're a male or a female. It doesn't matter. They don't want them. Okay? And they betray each other. Yeah, well, you did this. Yeah, well, you did that. You know? And they're not being kind or generous at all. Matthew 24:7. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and in various places there will be famines and earthquakes. Well, we've certainly seen some famines and earthquakes and droughts, and we have seen nation rise against nation. For example, Palestine just attacked Israel, and now, of course, because they were slapped first, Israel's going to come back and slap them. Daniel 12:4. But as for you, Daniel, conceal these words, and seal up the book until the end of time. Many will go back and forth, and knowledge will increase. And that's what we've been doing, going back and forth and increasing our knowledge so that we know how to respond. The words that were concealed have now been revealed, as was prophesied in Daniel. And that's the books that were found, the Dead Sea Scrolls, including the book of Enoch, which tells us the story of what happened. Matthew 24:6. You will be hearing of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not frightened, for those things must take place, but that is not yet the end. Well, we certainly get enough false flags, rumors of wars, and hearing of wars. Well, we hear they're warring in Ukraine and Russia, but, none of us are really there, so we don't know. Okay. And we're hearing about war in Israel and Palestine, and we're hearing about all these wars. And we've certainly seen enough false flags where, no one cares. I'm not frightened. Nobody else is either. Matthew 24:9. Then they will deliver you to tribulation and will kill you, and you will be hated by all nations because of my name. So those who claim they love God and believe in God and they're following God and they're in charge of their children and they'll teach their children what they want them to teach are ridiculed. They're given into trouble, and they try to assassinate you publicly so that it doesn't matter what the outcome is in court. They've already killed you, okay? And they're going to be hated by all nations. Well, it looks like everybody kind of hates America at this point in time, because of God's name. We are the melting pot. We are the land of imagination. We rule one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Yes, that has happened. Matthew 24:5. For many will come in my name, saying, I am the Christ, and will mislead many. You don't follow other people. I don't care what they're saying. You are your own decider. Nobody else decides for you. You have God in you, and you and God are one. You're the Christ. There's nobody else. Okay? It's not me. It's not Joey. It's not Tommy. It's not Neville. It's not Murphy. It's not any of them. It's you. Okay? It's in you, and that's what the book tells you everywhere throughout the Bible. Matthew 24:25. Behold, I have told you in advance. Behold, I'm telling you before it happens. Prophecy. Okay? He knows it's going to happen. He's been shown. Acts 2:17. And it shall be in the last days, God says, that I will pour forth of my Spirit on all mankind, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your young men shall see visions, and your old men shall dream dreams. And this is happening now, that the joy of God is pouring forth His Spirit, and your sons and daughters prophesy for themselves. Okay? And some can see and will say, I was certainly one of those as a young child. And young men shall see visions, and old men shall dream dreams. You know, and visions and dreams is God talking to us. So God is pouring Himself onto mankind and talking to us. And this is happening now. And this has been happening for the last 200-300 years in greater and greater abundance. You know, it came, for lack of a better term, it's a spiritual movement that's been going on. Second book of Peter, chapter 3, verse 3. Know this first of all, that in the last days mockers will come with their mocking, following after their own lusts. Okay, well, you know, these are, for example, Hillary Clinton, who mocked half the nation by saying they were deplorable. You know, this is people who mock God and claim there is no God. You know, they end up being tortured. Nations that reject God but claim that, you know, they're following God, Iran, they're mocking God. If you, all you can think about is destroying somebody, eliminating somebody that you hate, you're not acting God-like, are you? You know, no, you're not. You know, it's a shame, because Persia was so beautiful and knew these things, and they devolved into this nastiness that they are now. But it had to happen, as Jesus said. The second book of Timothy, chapter 3, verse 1. But realize this, that in the last days, difficult times will come. Well, there's certainly difficult times all around the world. COVID, right? Passports, governments that are trying to, non-governmental agencies and government agencies that were not voted for are trying to take over. No one voted for those guys. I don't think so. You know, just because someone in my government appointed someone to represent us there doesn't mean we're okay with what you say and do, United Nations. Okay? This is, you have to keep thinking for yourself and keep yourself focused and on the right path. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3. For the vision is yet for the appointed time. It hastens towards the goal, and it will not fail. Though it tarries, wait for it, for it will certainly come. It will not delay. 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 1. But the Spirit explicitly says that in latter times some will fall away from the faith, paying attention to deceitful spirits and doctrines of demons. And this is the plethora of people out there saying, visualize, imagine, do all this. We've gone beyond that. You're supposed to be thinking now. Okay, you're supposed to know. It's supposed to be perfect now. You're supposed to be beyond crutches in manifesting, which is what Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3 was referring to. The 1 Timothy chapter 4:1 is stating that, all these people come out of the woodwork. Visualize, and they're everywhere. They're everywhere. LOA, The Secret, all this stuff, and it has an element of truth to it because, yes, the crutch works, but we've gone beyond that, and that crutch won't work for long. Okay? You're going to have to change your thinking. The results of using the crutch is to make you realize, if I think like this, I get that. I don't need that crutch. Revelation 24. Then I saw thrones, and they sat on them, and judgment was given to them. And I saw the souls of those who had been beheaded because of their testimony of Jesus, and because of the word of God, and those who had not worshipped the beast or his image, and had not received the mark on their forehead and on their hand. And they came to life and reigned with Christ for 1,000 years. And this is defeating death, because it doesn't exist. And once you defeat death, then this is the release of all those who have died, because you understand there is no death. Isaiah 46:10, declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times things which have not been done, saying, my purpose will be established, and I will accomplish all my good pleasure. This is God's footstool. This is where he rests. That's what the earth is. And we were originally made to praise him and say how wonderful everything was. And unfortunately, bad boys happened. And they were godlike. And so they came. And to right that wrong, to get it back into balance, God went into us and saved the children from that unholy alliance. We are blessed. Matthew 24:29. But immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from the sky, and the powers of the heavens will be shaken. So we're in the midst of the tribulation now, and we are told that the sun will darken and the moon will not give its light. This is like an eclipse, but then we see that the stars fall from the sky, and that the powers of heavens will be shaken. And this is, everything's getting shook up, changed, and the good is delivered back to the earth, and those who never belonged are burned up, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. They go back from whence they came. They had no life force in them to begin with. And as we recognize this and start dealing with them, I'm not listening to you. Thank you for your opinion. That's nice. See you later, alligator. You don't listen to them, you take no thought. No one's thought, but the one that's coming from your heart. Matthew 24:15. Therefore, when you see the abomination of desolation, which was spoken of through Daniel the prophet, standing in the holy place, let the reader understand. So, the abomination of desolation is the man who thinks he's God. And when he tries to be God, he will fall. Matthew 24:3. As he was sitting on the Mount of Olives, the disciples came to him privately, saying, tell us, when will these things happen? And what will be the sign of your coming and of the end of age? This is Matthew 24, 3rd verse. So And Jesus repeats these things. The first book of John, chapter 2, verse 18. Children, it is the last hour. And just as you heard that Antichrist is coming, even now many Antichrists have appeared. From this we know that it is the last hour. Isaiah 2:2. Now it will come about that in the last days the mountain of the house of the Lord will be established as the chief of the mountains, and will be raised above the hills, and all the nations will stream to it. So now we know that all nations are going to overcome this and will stream to the Lord. Everything will come about that the Lord has stated through his prophets, and it's all in the Bible. And these are not to be taken lightly, because they affect us, all of us, and each person has to determine what they're going to do. Now, for example, some people feel an urge to go fight, and they'll go fight, but they'll soon discover that, one side's no better than the other, as in Ukraine and Russia. And really, it's the abomination is what divided them. It doesn't matter how you think they lived their lives. They were united. And somebody came and divided them. And we know who that is. It's these groups that have no business. And we're all part of it. I know America's a big part of it. And it's America that is struggling. And it's finding its way. It's getting back on its feet. It was, Bush and Obama, these people listened to those who were abominations. Okay, now Obama himself became an abomination because he truly listened to evil men and implemented it. Bush really believed he was doing what should have been done by his father. So therefore he made a judgment on his father, and he had people who convinced him to do that. It's funny that right before that happened, it was noted that $2.3 trillion was lost in defense money, and that, it needed to be found, and they needed to find out what happened and fix the holes. And, trusting the good people of the CIA and FBI to do that. And the very next day, Twin Towers came down and the Pentagon was destroyed, and that one computer that had all that information was destroyed, and, now you're never going to know, and they're still doing it. They outsource their defense shit, pay them outrageous sums of money, contract's over, they burn the contract. We don't know what happened to it. We don't know. And nobody's forcing them to be accountable. And then they scream they need more money. And they lie. We need it for this, we need it for that. No, you don't. If you didn't get, you've had billions. If you didn't get new computers, oh well. Kiss my lily white ass. I ain't paying for new ones. You get billions of dollars. I suggest you use some of that. If you're too busy using all that money to pay off contractors who've been fighting your battles that you won't do because they're so nasty and ugly, the American public wouldn't allow it. As Edward Snowden has told us. Then I suggest, you think again. So I bring this up because of what happened in Israel, and it's emphasizing what I've been saying. According to the Bible, we are in the thick of it. We are in the midst of trials and tribulations, and it begins each one individually, and then it grows. So we have to clean up our homes and see our world, our individual worlds, as better, and then the individuals make it grow into one. Each individual is a perfect image of God, God individualizing himself. But the I is said by all, and it means two things. I, and it means the seen I, because everyone who says I has eyes, and together it's one I. There's only one. So I hope this helps. It's just, stuff I've been pondering on. And I would love to hear what you think, but these are my thoughts, and I hope it helps. Blessings to you, and thank you. Thank you for being you.